Hello, this is Miss Brown, and today we will start our study of the vertebrates. And you have a chart with a vertebrate group, so we're going to start on the side that says phylum Chordata, or you often hear this called phylum Chordata. And we're first going to talk about some characteristics of this group. So up above the chart, let's list some of these. Okay, the first one's going to be the notochord, which is another word for backbone. That's why they're vertebrates, they have a backbone. A dorsal nerve cord, it goes down their vertebra, down their back. There's gill slit openings in these animals, and a tail. And you may say, well, Miss Brown, we don't have a tail or gill slits, but you did in utero when you were developing. Endoskeleton, which means it's covered by tissue, muscles, and skin. Closed circulation, there's no blood loose. Everything's inside a vessel or an organ, and there's a brain present. So we see all those things in the vertebrates. So there's three fish groups. You notice your first three columns. The first one is AGNATHA, and that's the jawless fish. Then you have CHONDRICHTHYES, that's the cartilage fish. And then we have OSTEICHTHYES, and those are the bony fish. And we're going to take these one at a time. So let's start with the jawless fish, AGNATHA. So example of that is the lamprey eel and the hagfish. And of course, you're going to have to stop this as we go to fill in. Habitat, they're all aquatic. Appendages, they have a caudal fin only. They're very streamlined looking, long and skinny. The body cover, it has skin and mucus to protect it from the water. There is a head and mouth. The head and mouth is jawless, and it has a round mouth. And for respiration, of course, it has gills. And the heart chambers, we have two chambers in this heart. We have one atrium and one ventricle. Body temperature is ectothermic, and students, if you remember, that means it's cold-blooded. We often say it's the same temperature as its surroundings. The skeleton has a notochord, which means it has a backbone. Fertilization in these fish is external, so she comes by and deposits the eggs, and then he comes by and deposits the sperm to fertilize them. They develop in the water, and a special consideration or adaptation, the lamprey is a parasite. It goes after other living things to bite and suck their blood. All right, our second group, Chondrichthyes. These are cartilage fish. Example of these are the shark, ray, and skate. The habitat, they are marine, just in the ocean. Appendages, they have fins. They can be paired and unpaired. Body cover, they have embedded scales and mucus. So it's not the kind of scales you may see on some of the fish around here. They're actually embedded inside their skin, that shark skin. The head and mouth, they have a ventral mouth, which means the mouth is to the bottom of their head. And they have rows of teeth, several rows, hundreds of teeth. All right, respiration, they have gills, they have open slits. They don't have a covering. The heart chamber, again, has two, one atrium, one ventricle. Body temperature, again, ectothermic, cold-blooded. Skeleton is made of cartilage. Fertilization is external, or some have internal. And development, they either develop freely in the water or inside an egg case. Special things about it, the shark is an excellent predator with a keen sense of smell. And the rays and skates are bottom dwellers. Now, OSTEICHTHYES, these are the fish you're familiar with. Examples, bass, catfish, and crappie. A habitat is aquatic, in the water, of course. Appendages, it has fins. Body cover, it's either scales and mucus, or it could have skin and mucus, like a catfish. And head and mouth, it has upper and lower jaws. There are nostrils and very nearsighted eyes. It sees fairly well up close, but not too well at a distance. All right, respiration, gills with an operculum. That's the cover that goes outside the gills, and that works with its mouth to suck water through, and it gets the oxygen from the water. Heart chambers, there are two. There's one atrium and one ventricle. It has a single loop circulation. The body temperature, again, ectothermic, cold-blooded. Skeleton, bones, and cartilage. So it has both, like you have both. Fertilization is mostly external. A few examples of internal, but those are kind of rare. And development, of course, it develops in the water. and special adaptations. It has this thing called a lateral line. If you'll look at a fish, if you look down the side, and you're going to see this in the video, there's this line. It's a pressure sensor. It knows when it's getting close to something, and it knows when it's close to another fish, and that's how those fish in schools can all look like they're swimming in the same motion, which they are, and that's how they sense each other's motion, is by this lateral line. And they also have a swim bladder that holds air, and it holds enough air to keep the fish floating where he wants to, what depth he wants to in the water, which is a neat thing. Thank you. Just let me go ahead and continue and speak about this for one moment. Some evolutionary ideas, what the evolutionists think is that our ancient fish were more lobe-thin, and some of them had lungs, and they may have been the ancestors of our present-day amphibians. So if that's just something I want you to be aware of if you're ever asked that question.